Boy, this Tom is a clever one, I tell you. He came up with a real good reason for them to let him live, at least temporarily.
One Piece, Chapter 354, Sea Train.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and the action-packed, the thriller minutes, the just gratuitously, benevolent? I don't even know, man. It is an awesome story. It's a great read, and it's the tale of One Piece. That's what it is. And our last chapter, of course, saw us going into it was obviously a flashback-heavy chapter because the majority of it took place in the past, 22 years in the past, and ended, of course, with focused on Tom, obviously the legendary shipbuilder, and then, of course, ended on Tom going to be tried for and apparently executed his crime of building the Pirate King, the former Pirate King, Gold D. Rogers' ship, the Oro Jackson. So that's how things left off. And that's right where things pick up, and they're going to go and carry out his sentence right away, but he's like, wait. Hold on a second. Hold the phone. He explains to them, listen, I'm working on blueprints, and these are the blueprints he was working on, obviously. In the last chapter, I was thinking maybe it was Pluton, but no, he was working on the plans for the Sea Train. And actually, as soon as they mentioned this legendary shipbuilder Tom's name, I don't know, 10, 15 chapters ago, I automatically thought there was a connection to the Puffing Tom, this kind of modern marvel, this ingenious way of being able to get from island to island along the Grand Line without having to, battle the pirates and the waves and the Sea Kings and all the things that come with it, and having to have a log pose and whatnot. And what's crippling this island is the fact that there's the trade. There's no trade going on. So he winds up saying, listen, hold on, here's the deal. I'm working on this blueprint for this sea train, right? Everybody, of course, is real skeptical about it. But when built, this bad boy will be able to go and take us from this island to this island to this island. And then they ask, can it go to Enies Lobby as well? I don't know what's so significant about Enies Lobby, but they asked. He said yes. And ultimately what it's going to do, it's going to help to increase, the trade and be able to deliver goods and things, food, whatever they need on this island, and won't be so isolated. So they wind up saying, okay, well, how about, the sea is unpredictable, the waves and the this and the that, and what about the Sea Kings and the fish? They're obviously these monsters, And he says, listen, the tracks actually are built slightly below the surface of the waves, and they kind of just hang there and float there. There's really no resistance to them. They're not trying to block the waves. It's really just more of like a guide for the train to actually go. The train itself, on these paddles that it has going, he's going to install something on these paddles to where as they go and they spin, they create and emit this sound. And this sound wave, and obviously sound waves travel through water for miles if they're loud enough, it deters fish, so that takes care of the Sea King problem, because they're not going to like it either, so they're not going to bother the thing, So I thought it was pretty cool, and I don't know what the significance is of, back 40, 50 chapters ago when we started this, that frog that keeps jumping in front of the tracks and whatnot. Obviously, he doesn't get the idea, but all the other fish are supposed to. So they wind up saying, okay, fine, we grant you 10 years to build your, 10 years of time, a stay of execution, they call it. Stay in lieu of execution, meaning that for 10 years you're going to work and build this thing like you said you're going to, and then after that we'll execute you. So anyway, so Kokoro afterwards is like, holy shit, my heart stopped in my chest, and he's like, no big deal, don't worry about it. Once we get done with this thing, by the time we get finished with this, they'll have all but forgotten about me. That's kind of his plan. Plus, he just wants to do something good to save Water 7 anyway. The guy is a genius. And just obviously the different things he can come up with, and this being one of them that will literally save Water 7 is a very good thing. So the rest of the chapter goes and takes place, and we wind up seeing the rivalry between Frankie and Iceberg. They really don't like each other. Iceberg at one point even tells Tom, why don't we just get rid of him? And he says, no. He says, first of all, listen, the kid's young. Okay, he is 4 years younger than Iceberg at this point. He says, when he came here 2 years ago, I saw him on Scrap Heap Island, and built a cannon out of nothing but scrap and this and that. I was impressed. I wound up taking him in. Apparently, he was too much for his parents to handle. They threw him overboard, and he says something to the effect of that his parents were pirates. So I don't know what connection there's going to wind up being with that down the road, but if any at all. But I know, at least from the last 350 chapters, that it seems like no plot point is too small to ever come back up and to be kind of thrown back into the light, somewhere, albeit 100, 200 chapters down the road. So Anyway, so I picked up all that on there. I thought that was pretty cool. So he decided to take him in, and he says, listen, he's already better than half of the shipwrights on the island, so, you know, we're keeping him around. He's one of your crewmates. But we can see that they just don't like each other. Iceberg's kind of like the nose to the grindstone, work hard type of guy, and just get things done, you know, slow and steady wins the race, so to speak, you know, consistency. And Frankie's kind of like the flashy sort of like, I want to do this, I want to do that. He's the big dreamer, it seems like. And that's what I take from it. So nonetheless, though, we do wind up seeing the progression of them building it in rain and snow, the different seasons, the different progression over a series of, again, you know, 5-10 pages, whatever. At the end of the chapter, it winds up getting to the point where they show the people in Water 7. It's 10 years later now, of course, so 12 years in the past from where we're at in the current story. And people are just besides themselves. People are committing suicide. People just don't want to live anymore. You know, there's some townsfolk in Water 7 talking about the so-and-so company or whatever that the owner killed himself, the president killed himself. It was probably because he ran out of materials last month and had to send guys out to go get more materials. He lost 50 men and some ships and everything. Ultimately, it's bad news out there, right? And people are at wit's end. There's no trade, there's no commerce. It's very, very bad, looking very bleak and dismal. So anyway, though, then Tom winds up going and unveiling his modern marvel, this puffing Tom, obviously, to be able to connect things. Kokoro winds up becoming the operator of it, or at least is at that point. I don't know how she eventually wound up just sitting out at that switching station or how that worked, but basically what winds up happening is kind of get the whole inaugural voyage of the puffing Tom. And we see, you know, several people are still skeptical about, I'm not going to ride it, I'm not going. And then there are several that are excited about it as well. So it seems to be very divided amongst the people. But really what winds up happening is, and what I took from this whole thing is that this Tom is obviously a genius as far as his engineering marvels, the things that he was able to come up with. And really, too, I mean, even Frankie points out earlier in the chapter, why would you built a ship for the Pirate King, right? And they even say, you know, what the judge says, well, normally you can buy a ship and sell it to whoever without any fear of being punished or, you know, being any type of crime. But this is the Pirate King that you built the ship for, so we're going to treat this one special, and we're actually going to change the laws and the way that they're written and whatnot just for you in this particular instance, which I think is, again, total bullshit, but whatever. That's how it is, right? That's the story. But even Frankie says, like, you made a ship that sailed the Grand Line, sailed around the world, right? And I mean, that you should be applauded for that, not being executed, you know. So, but again, those are the things that I took from the chapter, was really just the attention to detail and the ingenious way of putting together and engineering things that this Tom has. And we haven't even gotten into anything about the Pluton yet. So I don't know when that comes before, after, when, at what point, what period it winds up. I don't know if the government forces him to work on that. I don't know if he already worked on it and then scrapped the plans, but the government got wind of it. I don't know. But that's how the chapter ends off over here. We wind up leaving it off with the whole, and we get a nice toot-toot, you know, as the thing makes its maiden voyage across the sea. And obviously, this is a big, big thing, you know, so it's a very big thing. And it's going to save, and actually did save, we see, Water 7 from what it was going into. So my chapter question, though, really is because I'd like to know what camp you're in. Do you like Iceberg or do you like Frankie? And I'm not talking about now, okay, because I figured out by now with names and hints and droppings and spoilers and everything else that Frankie, I'm pretty sure, is the guy that winds up joining the crew next. Either he does temporarily for this arc, this saga, maybe as a background character, he does permanently. I don't know. But the bottom line is I don't want to know now what your opinion of the two of them are. In the flashback, what is your opinion on kind of, I guess, the two different, which side would you be on? Would you be more siding with Frankie, who's kind of like the dreamer, the creative guy, but, you know, not as reliable as you'd like to be as far as a worker? Or would you rather have Iceberg, the guy that's, you know, he's very practical, he's very pragmatic, he's like, I'm going to get things done, and I'm going to do them the way that I'm supposed to do them because that's what the boss told me, you know? Which one do you like better? Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
You should follow me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and even my other channel as well.